we have immediately to my left, Shahad Attar, and she leads tech and media side investment for PIF. Delighted, thanks very much for coming along. Dr. Hans-Paul Bürkner, Managing Director and Global Chair Emeritus at the Boston Consulting Group. Thanks for coming. And we have on the far left, or stage left of the stage, we have Dr. Anna Patterson, Managing Partner from Gradient Ventures, and also very pleased to have joining us virtually, the founder of Emaar and Noon.com, Mohammed Ali Rashid Alabar. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I hope all of you are well. It seems like you're having a lot of fun.
Very well. Well, it's great to have you with us today. So what I'd love to start off with is when you're thinking about investment, what do you mean by investing in AI? Are we investing in the general artificial intelligence? Are you investing in what's going to take us to Mars? Or are we talking about something that's much more down to earth, shall we say? Shahad, start us off.
Thank you, Edie. It's a real honor and pleasure to be talking to you and this great audience here today. And you ask a really great question. What are we talking about when we talk about investing in AI? The Public Investment Fund, the PIF, the vision is to invest in human future. And what that means, we're looking about growth areas. What are the problems that humanity is facing today? And that's what really drives our decisions. You mentioned just a few minutes ago that AI's predicted future is $15 trillion a contribution to the economy. So imagine the type of problems that we need to be looking and fixing. As the kingdom aspires to become a global hub for technology and media, AI is absolutely the foundation for all of this. Most importantly, we're thinking about all the different verticals, such as healthcare, such as logistics, such as even smart cities and culture. All of these different verticals have great applications for artificial intelligence. I'll tell you just a few examples from companies that are in the PIF portfolio.
I tell you what, I want to come back immediately to that. Let's just get a brief answer from all of our panelists on what they mean by AI, and then I'll absolutely come back to you. Dr. Hans-Paul, what do you mean when you invest in AI?
Well, obviously, there is a broad range, and Shahad has already mentioned many of those. But I would like to draw your attention to really helping companies optimize their processes, also reduce waste energy usage, CO2 emissions, for example, cement plants, steel plants, refineries, the pipeline system. There is such a massive opportunity to really use sensors, but also better algorithms to optimize these processes. And while not all of them may already be self-optimizing processes and self-learning processes, and algorithms, I think this is a big opportunity for really having a massive impact on the performance of companies, but at the same time also, for example, reducing emissions.
Okay, thank you. Mohammed, what about you? What do you mean when you're investing in AI? What does that mean to you?
Of course, specifically at Noon, we are quite keen and we are investing, of course, when it comes to product discovery, understanding our customer, planning merchandising for us based on historical data. AI does amazing work to really makes our forecasting better, makes that we predict your needs easier, even predict what the most efficient delivery routes for us, especially that now we are into 15-minute delivery, which is a new science that we are going into. If you look at the real estate side of it, we are quite advanced that we are really talking to AI engineers. How can AI design our buildings? It's one of the most amazing achievements in human life, where it will take us a year and a half to finalize a building design. With AI, it could take 30 days. And there's so much more to do.
Okay. Anna, what about you? What do you mean when you're investing in AI?
I guess to me, AI is now the new high-tech startup. So we invest in high-tech startups. And as a former academic, it really means any technique that's in Russell and Norvig. So if that algorithm is in Russell and Norvig, that's what we mean by AI.
Okay. Now, you've got an interesting job because you're actually investing on behalf of Google into AI. Just tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're Google's seed fund, and we invest only at the very beginning stages where there's 2 entrepreneurs or 3 with an idea, and then those ideas can be across a broad range of industries, but really use AI to make a difference in those industries.
Okay, we're going to come back to you. So, Shahad, I very rudely cut you off. I'd love to hear about some of your investments, and particularly because I imagine this room might be full of entrepreneurs waiting to collar you guys as you come out of this session with their fantastic idea. So, what are you looking for in an AI startup, given the kinds of things that you're investing in now?
Not at all, Edie. If you don't control us, I'm sure every one of us is so passionate, we'll just stay for hours to talk about this. But what I'm looking for, usually when we look at growth stage companies, we're looking for problems that have been solved, and then they're using techniques such as computer visioning or NLP or deep learning to further enhance, like Dr. Hans said, their operations or further reduce costs. And these things today can be clearly quantified, and that's what most businesses are looking for. There are great ideas, but the real ideas that make it are the ones that, in the end, either cut costs or make money.
Right. Okay. So give us some of the companies that you have invested in. Just get a little flavor of the kind of things that somebody might, they think, ooh, I'm a bit like that, but a bit different.
So I'm sure yesterday we've seen the great announcements from the Saudi company of artificial intelligence. This is the company that has been established by the Public Investment Fund, PIF, last year. And the objective from Sky is to create AI-powered solutions by looking at the problems in the kingdom and hopefully in the future in the rest of the region. Some of the challenges that Sky is looking to solve today, for example, in safety and security, such as in traffic control. And these are some of the greatest examples because car accidents and speeding has been always an issue and maybe the highest cause of death. But with these solutions in place, they've been able to predict and catch those bad driving. You know, I've been myself a victim of that. I've made sure, oh, absolutely. And I've made sure that I improve my driving because I know that this is being solved by the power of artificial intelligence. And there's so many others. Lean is another example of a company in healthcare that during COVID, during the pandemic, has been able to bring together solutions for the Ministry of Health and try to provide solutions for the pandemic. Another example is Ilm, a company that has been the digital transformation partner for the kingdom. And there are a lot of examples for other sectors that I'm happy to even share more.
Okay. Anna, what about you? Tell us a little bit. You've got a company, in fact, that you've invested in who's here. It may even be in the audience. But tell us what you're specifically looking about. We've heard about safety, healthcare. What are you looking for?
We really look broadly. So, like I said, you know, a high-tech startup. But one of the things that we look for in a founding team is a real connection to the problem. Because, you know, growing a company is hard. And if that company's mission and what they're trying to accomplish doesn't resonate deeply with the founding team, then it's going to be hard to overcome those problems. So that's one of the things we're really evaluating with the founding team. Obviously, it has to have a market. There's no company without a market.
So give me an example. Give me an example of a company that's really connected to their mission.
So I'd say we have 2 that have really taken off. Elsa is here. They're used by more than 40 million people worldwide, and they help people train their English accent. So it tells you, you know, it has recordings of millions of people speaking, and then it tries to correct your accent. And then Mural took off during the pandemic.
And just to go back, why were the founders so closely connected to that mission?
I'd say they are from an area where they saw the difference in money that people make between the lowest level employees who might have English as a challenge. They saw that promotion opportunities were open to people that had better accents. And so it really is about social mobility and about, getting people paid more. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really interesting. Sorry, and the next
Yeah.
one you were going to mention.
Mural is a company that helps people do brainstorming remotely. So COVID was actually a tailwind for them because it's hard to have a meeting and like you were thinking about doing a Blackboard or having a session with your team where you brainstorm on an idea, and the software is just around that, being able to do that effectively remotely. And previously they had done only in-person onboarding, which is very
Right.
funny because it's a remote first tool.
Right.
And they pivoted right at the beginning of COVID.
And why
to
was
that.
their mission so close? Why did they feel passionate about that?
The founders are from Argentina, and they had started hiring around the world. They were actually starting on something else first, and we funded them right when they saw this problem that they had themselves with a remote team, and they had built something in-house, and a lot of people who had seen it with them, like customers who had seen this brainstorming tool, wanted to buy it. So their kind of second act was doing this tool, and now they're over 100 million in revenue.
Interesting. Mohammed, what about you? Somebody's going to come and pitch you. They can't collar you after the session in person, but they might be stalking you on LinkedIn. What are you looking for when you are looking for an AI machine learning investment?
Well, I think we have the real answer is that it's going to be a little bigger than this. The AI is, I think, it's the greatest achievement in human life. It's more important than electricity. It's more important than water. It is bringing transparency. It is taking human capability to a different level because, as the audience knows, that human beings are very capable people, but our skull, limit the size of our processing power. While the AI is the warehouses of servers that can do amazing things. So therefore, when I hear about what AI is doing in drug discovery, as an example, that's why, for example, we were able to get a lot of drugs very early to the market for COVID. It's not because of human mind. This is because of a smart human mind that deployed AI. Therefore, it's very encouraging for me that I almost question everything I do. And I say, okay, I know that there's a new world. How can I really get...
Oh, you've unfortunately frozen, but in a very passionate moment. So we're going to come back to you, Mohammed, because you're looking like you care what you're talking about. Okay. Hans-Paul.
Okay.
Have we got you back, Mohammed? Let's keep going.
I can hear you. I was saying that my responsibility now is really to work with the talent I have in my companies to make sure that we deploy AI almost in everything we do. I give you a small example. We run the largest food company, especially when it comes to restaurants in the Middle East, and I know we are running a very successful delivery system. But now we're using AI to really help us which restaurant should be in which area. Because the intelligence that comes out of our ordering system and delivery system will tell you that this neighborhood will need more Lebanese restaurants than Indian restaurant or Italian rather than anything else. While we ran this business for 20 years, we will never ever be able to collect data like this to really make us smarter, more efficient. We grow and we reduce costs at the same time, and we value, of course, our performance. So therefore, I think our biggest challenge as this old world that we live in, especially with my age, of course, I'm not 22 years old, and my management as well, is that how can we really motivate, train, and encourage our senior management to go to the AI route to solve our performance issues and improve our performance and have a smarter decision. And if I can just say one thing, I really believe that the world has a big challenge, and I'm changing the subject now, but the world has a big challenge with democracy. And people are doubting, is democracy working or not? I really think that AI is going to solve democracy problem because it can collect data, it can give recommendation, and I think politicians should just relax and don't do anything.
Okay, well, we could have another panel on that, but we might come back to that issue. Hans Paul, I want to come back to you because you mentioned that AI is really good at improving efficiency, and there's some areas in the world where we could really use that, including food production, including energy production. So give me some examples of some of the things that you've seen companies work on that you think really help and illustrate the kind of thing that you're talking about.
Well, I really like the examples that Mohamed, Anna, Shahad have been using. But I also would like to draw attention to the fundamental issues of very traditional industries, food, agriculture. Companies like John Deere really help to reduce the use of pesticides, insecticides by really targeting specific amounts of insecticides and pesticides on specific plants or weeds, in the fields. Really through precision agriculture, really, or precision farming, really ensuring that you use the minimum needed to get things done. The same is with fertilizers, analyzing, the ground, analyzing the air, the moisture, and so forth, and combining this in order to really be, absolutely, spot on in terms of what you do on the fields in order to get the maximum output, the maximum yield with the minimum inputs on fertilizer, insecticides, pesticides, and so forth, because we need this in order to really feed 10 billion people in a few decades. The other thing, of course, is, given that we are working here in the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, I think oil production, gas production, I think there are so many opportunities to optimize the process, the drilling, ensuring that there's higher yield by, through smart sensoring, really using the massive amount of data that we all have from these production facilities, from the refineries, in order to reduce energy consumption, in order to reduce waste and leakages, and to do this in a continuous process, not just doing it once, but the algorithms become increasingly better, and therefore you can continue to reduce emissions. And that's why I think both efficiency and reduction in emissions, I think, go hand in hand.
Interesting. I wonder what you think, Anna, you mentioned that you're investing in Argentina. I know that you've invested in lots of places around the world. Do you see a hotspot for AI investments where you're always going, or is it truly something that is coming from around the world?
Yeah, it is coming from around the world. I'd say, 20% of our investments are in Europe and maybe 15% in LATAM. I think it's surprising to me that it isn't, like one city. It isn't like, Silicon Valley used to be. It really is finding these companies in various pockets. And some of the times where we have more than one company from Copenhagen, it's because the founder that we first found in Copenhagen was like, yo, my friend's doing something good. So I think that kind of effect is just happening, yeah.
Okay. Are there any other companies you want to highlight in terms of the impact they're making? We heard from Hans Paul about impact that an old-fashioned company like John Deere can really have. When you think about the impact that your investments have.
John Deere is using one of our companies, Labelbox, to do that, because it's actually image recognition. As the tractors roll down the field, there's a down-facing camera, and they recognize the weed to do the precision impact, and the whole method of labeling the plants and the models that run on the machines are done with Labelbox.
Interesting. And what's their story?
Labelbox are two founders, Manu and Brian, and at their previous company, they needed to label for their machine learning models, and there weren't really easy tools to label. Like, you can imagine the very first tools were like drawing a circle, which, of course it doesn't really work. You don't actually get it around and stuff. And then how do you type in the text that goes with it? There really weren't good tools back then. And so it took a really long time. And so it was expensive to make a model. And they said other people must be having this problem. And it actually learns as you go, so that as you label the first few things, like imagine, her example about, like, let's say it's a license plate recognizer. So after you first do a few rectangles, it kind of learns what you're probably doing. Oh, I see that kind of image in this other image, and it kind of snaps too. And then when you say, yeah, you got it, it starts auto-labeling for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting. Well, Shahad, let's come back to you, because I know that there's other areas within the PIF, within AI investment, that you're interested in, including those that have real impact on the lives of people in the kingdom.
I'd like to pick up something that Anna was talking about, where you train a system to recognize accents. And we all recognize, for example, one of the challenges when you're trying to reach to customer service and you get a computer, and it's very frustrating. And a lot of companies don't want that experience for their clients or customers. So, but it still is very expensive to have people 24/7. A lot of companies have implemented AI to try to get a better experience for their customers. However, we speak Arabic in this region, and Arabic has a lot of different accents.
Many.
One of the challenges that we're working on in our PIF companies in Sky is the ability to recognize different accents and to train systems that can speak back in your accents and be able to provide a better service. You can imagine the applications of that go beyond just customer service. And the challenges such as in emergencies, medical emergencies, people who try to reach, but you cannot understand what they're saying, AI can again help a lot in getting that message across. And beyond NLP, or the ability to recognize languages, the future is about smart cities. And there are many definitions of smart cities, but it all begins with data and the ability to bring data to create insights to drive better decisions. In my view, that smart cities are cities that use data for better management of the resources in that city, better management of the environment, as well as creating a seamless experience for citizens to truly get from point A to point B and go about their business every day. These are just some of the things that we're working on.
Okay, so give us an example of a company that's working on one of those problems.
So Tahakkum is another company in the PIF portfolio, and they have been the experts when it comes to the ability to monitor traffic. Extending those capabilities on computer visioning together with international partners, we've been able, hopefully, to put together a proof of concepts to manage waste around the city. This is, of course, in partnership with some of the government entities that are looking to improve pollution and management in the city. Another side is companies who care about recycling. But some of the challenges is how can you manage the costs of recycling by predicting, of course, the waste that will be in the city, or being able to sort waste. All of these things are implemented by the use of sensors, by the use of algorithms to do these types of predictions.
Sounds like you're building a wise city rather than just a smart city.
We hope so. We have great plans for Visions 2030 for Saudi Arabia, starting with Riyadh.
Mohammed, I want to come back to you, because I know that you are thinking about a customer, for example, who might be ordering something, the ease of getting delivery. And of course, that has impacts as well on city infrastructure, on traffic, on pollution. So tell me how you look at that kind of that kind of investment that you're making, and the kind of feeling that you want people within the region to have.
I'm so sorry. I missed one part of the last part of your question, if you don't
Just
mind.
tell me about your vision for what you want people to have, the kind of experience they want to have when they use your investments, when they use your products, as they move around the city.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I forgot to mention that Noon is a PIF company as well, and we're very proud to be a PIF company. And we're deploying some of the most advanced AI solutions in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, and we have an amazing team on the ground that does all this work. I think at the end of the day, we want technology and specifically AI just to give you a better life. And when it comes to a better life, we're talking about not only predicting what you want, but the best value for you. And as we can predict your needs over time, then we become very efficient in many things. We become very.
Oh, you've frozen in another moment of passionate discussion. So Mohammed, we'll leave you. We'll fix your video and come back to you. I want to have a look at my next question for you all, which is really around, what do you think the most valuable companies being built today are, Anna? If you were going to, with AI at the core of what they're going to do in 10 years, maybe it's not one that you've invested in.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of old, so I remember the web coming. And I think at that time, we really underestimated the impact of the web on society. And then I was involved in Android, and I think we really underestimated cell phones and how much it was going to change society. And I think right now we're underestimating AI and its change. I think that AI is at the core of most companies today that are successful, because the first part of being successful is having a bunch of customers. But in order to get the hockey stick effect, you have enough data that you're analyzing it in order to make everything better. So I'm not going to pick one company.
Okay. Any sector that you'd like to pick?
So, we have seen a number of AI infrastructure companies. I mean, we just sold to Snowflake. We sold Streamlit, which was an AI infrastructure company, and Snowflake holds a lot of data on top of which AI models are run.
Mohammed, what do you think the most impressive or most valuable AI machine learning company is out there at the moment?
Well, today for me, I think the most incredible company on earth is Google, and I really think that they're deploying. Yeah, did you hear me?
Yes, well, I'm laughing because
Yes.
Anna invests on behalf of Google, so I'm wondering if maybe there was some discussion between you guys beforehand.
I couldn't plug Google, but I agree.
See, what's interesting about Google is that they know so much more about Ghana or Singapore or Bangkok or New York than anyone else on earth. Therefore, the amount of AI that they're purchasing, softwares that they're getting involved in, some stuff we know, some we don't know. It's just, I think Google, even though I admire Google, I think Google is the most dangerous company in the world, but in a good way, I hope.
All right. What do you think, Shahad? What do you think the most valuable company that's using AI and machine learning at its core? What do you think it is?
Edie, I think that's a really tough question. Even Anna and Mr. Abbar struggled with it. But what I really believe is that we're at every stage in the evolution of technology, we're at the very beginning of the evolution of Web 3.0. And that's where we're really going to see the convergence of data, of artificial intelligence, and even immersive experiences. And some studies show that we might even be where we were in 1998, which means the Googles of the future are still not even yet discovered. So I'd like to believe that each one of us here, that maybe even in this room today, that could be the most valuable company of the future.
Yeah. Okay, well, I won't make Hans Paul answer the same
because,
one.
Let me reinforce what Shahad has said. If you look at the most valuable companies in 2005, there were lots of, e-commerce and companies there, but all of them are gone except Microsoft. And in 2035 or 37, 15 years time, the top 10 in the world may look completely different from what today. I mean, maybe Google is still there, but it could also be that none of them exist. So I think, nobody knows,
Right.
and you could be it.
Okay, how do you define impact, Hans-Paul, when you're thinking about putting money or the kinds of companies that you think will have impact? How are you measuring that impact? What are the things, the tools that you're using to do that?
Well, it's all about, of course, increasing revenues or reducing cost. And when I say reducing cost, it also means reducing emissions and therefore really becoming much more sustainable. And I think these things go hand in hand. And it's really crucial to have tangible impact that can be measured.
So give me an example about what you mean. Give me an example of something that's reducing emissions. How are you measuring that reduction?
Well, if I can reduce the use of energy in cement plants by 10, 15, even 20%, I have a very measurable impact where sustainability and economics go together very well. And I think this is really the key for many, many companies, both traditional companies, but also I think the new tech companies. I mean, the cloud uses enormous energy. The centers for data centers using enormous energy. If we can reduce the energy usage, we can also reduce emissions in a massive way. And I think that's what we have to do, because today, be very open. I mean, most of these data centers are not run by windcraft or solar, and even that consumes a lot of energy producing windcraft and solar panels. So I think it's really crucial that we do find ways of reducing energy as a key, but resources in all aspects, and recycling them and so forth. So
right.
Everything that helps to make this work is both good for society, but also good for the companies that are achieving that.
And when we've spoken before today, I know that a lot of Gradient Ventures measures very high in terms of its diversity impact, and that the founders of the companies that you are investing in are incredibly diverse. So I wonder, is that on purpose?
I think we're very proud that our portfolio is among the most diverse.
And tell us what you mean, what that actually means.
So usually it's measured by Crunchbase. It's just a way that it kind of evens the playing field. It usually means underrepresented group as a member of the founding team, which includes women and people of color. And then it also, those are probably the main ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you're out there looking, is that something that's always in your mind?
It isn't in our mind that we want to or don't want to, but we have established some guidelines around how we approach investments, in that we keep an open mind and we keep an open line. So a lot of investment places, you need an introduction in order to get in, and that really limits kind of the field of people you can invest in. So we vow to read cold emails and cold pitches. And then during the pitch, we put away our phones and laptops and really try to connect with the person when we were in person. And when we're online, we say that we're gonna very much pay attention. And then we find that that gives us a connection to the founders.
Interesting. Hans-Paul?
Yeah, I think what we should be also aware of that innovation very often comes from the edge, from the margin, not from the core. And so, the question earlier on, you mentioned Argentina. We find a lot of the innovations are come from emerging markets, from Africa, from Asia, from Latin America, where there is certain scarcities. There are things that are not there in abundance. And therefore, people have to think about new solutions. And I think that's why we'll find a large spread of capabilities. Of course, everybody talks about Silicon Valley, and we have a congestion of lots of great people, but many of them are coming from other parts of the world. They're coming from India, from China, they're coming from Africa, Latin America, and so I think we'll see a lot more diversity over the coming decade, just because the scarcities drive people to come up with great solutions. And usually the headquarter is the place where fewer of the innovations are coming from, because they always think about, oh, this will take a long time, this will take a lot of money. Well, we've tried it, we are not going to work on this anymore. Right. Whereas the margin, the edge is really innovative.
Okay. Shahad, I'd love you to tell us about how you're considering impact, and also how you're looking at investing in diversity as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll start with diversity. Because we've seen a lot of examples in the media where the lack of diversity has actually led us to the wrong solutions. Where, for example, we've had AI-based systems doing recruitment systems that were just as biased as the teams that were developing it, because that's the algorithm that was built according to their beliefs. So diversity is important at every level of an organization, from development to the top. And there are great examples in our portfolio companies, as well as at PIF, but we're still not doing enough. And we are aiming to improve and even get better. How we measure impact? We're an investment fund, but we are focused on impact. So we also measure return, but we also measure social and economic impact. PIF aims to not just invest and hopefully not just in AI, but in every sector, but also to create meaningful jobs in the kingdom and in the region.
Okay. How are you doing?
So far, so good. We still have jobs.
Mohammed, tell us a little about your interest in diversity as you look to invest as well in the region.
Well, I'll go back and, I lost that part when I said that we're very proud to be a PIF company as well. And the amazing technology that we are deploying using AI in Saudi Arabia is really incredible, with an incredible team on the ground. When it comes to diversity, it's interesting. In the Middle East, it's a little different. Our mix is amazing because we have small countries around, so the mix is really perfect. But then again, when it comes to empowering women, is something that we have a great journey, and I agree we have started, but it's moving quite well, especially in this area. And if you come and see our women engineers, I really worry about the boys, because these ladies are incredible dedication, hard work, IQ, and they all remind me of my mother, because I'm the eldest of 13 kids, and I don't know how my mom do it when we had no electricity, no running water. So I think we learn a lot of diversity, at least my diversity, from my mom.
So I want to ask, is there a problem you think that is out there that's not being solved yet, that AI could have a really good impact on? Anna, do you have one?
It's more of philosophy. I think when I was starting my first company, I would say, what do I want done that I'm bad at? And I would hire a person to do that. And now I'm asking my founders, when you have something that you want done, there's an AI for that.
Right.
And so I think some things that are, human are now being done very well with AI, and they're getting better, like reading, summarizing, writing, coaching, teaching. It's amazing, the kind of applications that are coming along, counseling.
Right.
Yeah.
Hans Paul, what about you?
I would say elderly care. I had the opportunity to talk to a colleague from Japan, and given that the share of old people in Japan is very high, and I asked him, how far are you? And he said, yes, we are working on it, but the all-rounded universal robot to take care of elderly people, they are not there yet. And I think that would be a great solution, not just for Japan, but for the rest of the world. And I think we really badly need that. So I hope we'll get there over the next 10, 15 years.
Shahad, what about you? Any big problem you think that's not yet being addressed that could be through AI?
Definitely, like my fellow panelists mentioned, problems to give the feeling that you're speaking to a real human being. We're still not there yet. But more than that, I think another problem is around data privacy and data security. And I think Sadaya has done great strides in creating the right systems in place that ensure that we try to ensure private data privacy. Because data is really what drives a lot of AI solutions. But where do we draw the line of how do we protect people as well as not limit innovation?
Okay. Mohammed, what about you? Any big question that you think isn't yet being answered? There's a company that's not doing this that AI could have a go at.
Well, my biggest challenge in career is human talent, and human talent is linked to education. So I really hope that there's a lot of AI investment in education, because we have billions of people on Earth, and if we can deploy AI to really enhance government's efforts to really improve education level, it will save the world.
Thank you. Well, that is our time, and I'd like to give an enormous thank you to my fantastic panel, to Shahad, to Hans Paul, to Anna, and to Mohammed joining us online. And thanks very much to you, the audience, for being here with us. Let's give them a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.